This is 7 News.
Tonight, a woman arrested, taken in for questioning over the fire attack on Perth woman Dana Vulan.
Exclusive. Police raid the home of a West Coast Eagles premiership hero.
Kevin Rudd's promise as he confirms he'll fight for the leadership.
This is not an episode of Celebrity Big Brother.
And Lindy Chamberlain back in court for a fourth inquest into what happened to baby Azaria.
From the studios of 7 Perth, Ardon and Susannah Carr.
Good evening. We start tonight with a dramatic development in the case of Dana Vulan, the Perth woman who was set on fire in her Rivervale unit. Blake Johnson is at Kensington Police Station, and Blake, police swooped at the airport.
That's right, Sue. The woman was arrested about 3:45 this afternoon at the International Airport. As we go to her tonight, she has not been charged. These pictures show the moment she was escorted out of the international terminal into a waiting police van. Tonight, she's one of 3 people being questioned here by Kensington detectives. The van with the female suspect inside arrived at Kensington Police Station late this afternoon. The woman was arrested at Perth's International Airport. Flanked by detectives, she was escorted to a waiting police van. She's been taken into custody for questioning over the fire attack on Dana Vulan.
We are looking at exactly what transpired on that day.
Today's development comes after police revealed yesterday they were looking for a woman in her 20s who'd been spotted near Dana Vulan's apartment about the time of the attack.
This person will know who she is if she sees this media release. And again, we're calling for her to come forward.
It's been a week since 25-year-old Dana Vulan was set on fire in her Rivervale home. Police believe Dana was splashed with methylated spirits, then set alight. Yesterday, her sister made this plea.
We need someone to come forward. I know someone knows what happened out there.
Dana suffered burns to 60% of her body. She's had lengthy surgery and is still unconscious in Royal Perth Hospital.
Well, she's constantly fighting. There is no relief. There is no good news. She's critically stable.
Tonight, police are questioning the woman, but are yet to lay any charges. Blake Johnson, 7 News.
Now to details of a police raid on the home of a former West Coast Eagles premiership hero. Crime reporter Grant Taylor is at police headquarters. And Grant, what's happened?
Well, Rick, I can tell you that last Saturday, detectives from the Organised Crime Squad executed a search warrant on the home of 2006 Eagles premiership star Adam Hunter, now allegedly found inside the home, in-lieu property, that Hunter shares with 2 others, was a bag containing 75 tablets. Now, police are now having those tablets analysed to determine if they were ecstasy or, in fact, something else. Now, 7 News spoke to Adam Hunter at his in-lieu home today. He declined to talk on camera, but confirmed that the raid had happened. He told us the tablets were not his, and he said he doesn't know what they contained or who they belonged to. Now, Hunter kicked the winning goal that secured the Eagles the 2006 premiership flag. He played 150 games for the club, retiring in 2009 due to knee and shoulder injuries. Police refused to talk about this case today, and I must stress, no charges have been laid. Sue?
Thanks, Grant. Now the fight for the Lodge. Kevin Rudd has confirmed he wants to make a comeback as Prime Minister and will challenge Julia Gillard for the Labor leadership. He says he's learnt from his mistakes, but his former ministers and a senior advisor have described him as unfit to become leader again.
Kevin Rudd arrives home from the US, with wife Therese Rain facing a media crush.
Kevin, when will you challenge this afternoon?
To be greeted by son Nicholas.
What do you think of Julia Gillard?
No comment. And pregnant daughter Jessica.
What do you think of Gillard?
Politics as reality television, as he calls for people power to sweep him back into the top job.
This is not an episode of Celebrity Big Brother. This is about who should be Prime Minister.
What happens in that competition is the people get to decide.
This afternoon, he formally declared he will run.
Rightly or wrongly, Julia has lost the trust of the Australian people. All indications are that we're heading for the rocks at the next election.
Julia Gillard attacked on trust too, saying she couldn't trust him.
He won't reveal to the Australian people the conversations that he has had undermining the government.
Answering one of Ms Gillard's challenges, he did reveal what he'd do if he lost.
I would go to the backbench and I would not challenge Julia a second time.
as he ripped into Julia Gillard's policy failures, the East Timor solution,
A walk on the policy wild side.
asylum seeker policy,
I believe we can do a lot more.
and speaking of himself in the third person like the Kevin Rudd of old, carbon pricing.
It wasn't Kay Rudd who made a pre-election commitment on a carbon tax.
He said Ms Gillard had pressured him to dump his climate change policy, promising now to review the carbon tax in 6 months and accelerate the move to an emissions trading scheme. Ms Gillard said, unlike Mr Rudd, she got carbon pricing through.
Australians can have trust in me that I am the person who gets things done.
As Mr Rudd's former mental health advisor, Professor John Mendoza, attacked his approach as Prime Minister.
Putting the government on a collision course to self-destruction.
And him.
Kevin Rudd is not fit for the office of Prime Minister.
I think my dealings with that individual were not extensive at all.
Kevin Rudd's People Power campaign has set the phones and Twitter alight, but among the 103 people of the Labor caucus who'll decide this vote, he's way behind. 7 News' latest count has Julia Gillard on 71 votes, Mr Rudd 30 with 2 undecided, while in his home state of Queensland, Mr Rudd has just 3 of 13 votes, Julia Gillard 10.
What we need is an election, not another C-election.
As the Snap campaign really gets moving.
And I'm going to zip.
Mark Riley, 7 News.
Aboriginal activists have again clashed with police at Harrison Island as the native title protest continues. Tempers flared after police moved in to impound the protesters' cars.
Just after 1 o'clock this afternoon, police moved in. Angry protesters were ready.
Well, you fellas keep coming in all the time. You want to fight?
Police were abused.
Shame, little boy.
And then this with the Australian flag.
Come on, spit on it, do everything to it. Yeah, just kick it around.
The conflict escalated when police started to confiscate cars parked illegally after protesters removed Perth City Council blockades. It's the third time police have been called to the site. Yesterday, the riot squad and mounted police tore down tents. One man was arrested, charged with assault.
Hey, buddy, I broke my arm not even 12 months ago.
The camp was set up 11 days ago, a protest over a $1 billion native title deal. The activists say they don't want the money, they want the land.
We're not going to take this land down. We won't sign away our Mother Earth.
Protesters say they're not moving. Alison Hembrough, 7 News.
Police have offered a $100,000 reward in an attempt to solve a 2-year murder mystery. 21-year-old Josh Warnaker died on the side of Old Broome Road after being hit on the head. His mother lobbied the police minister for the reward.
I believe that the killer is still at large in the community of Broome, and we need to put a stop to this.
Police have also dropped off pamphlets highlighting the reward to 6,000 homes in Broome.
Residents left homeless by the Margaret River bushfires will sue the state government. The legal action follows a report that found the Department of Environment and Conservation was to blame. Homes were destroyed when what was supposed to be a controlled burn got out of control. David Cooper reports.
More than 70 people have already signed up for the class action. Their target, the Barnett government.
It is a litany of error and a litany of fault and is entirely unsatisfactory.
Premier Colin Barnett has officially apologised after a report found the Department of Environment and Conservation was to blame for the blaze. Up to $190,000 compensation is being offered to victims, not enough according to many who say they'll be left out of pocket.
Put it this way, if you caused a fire and burned down the house next door, the person in the house next door would probably ask you to make full and proper compensation.
We think it's a very fair and appropriate compensation package.
Despite the government's official apology and offer of compensation, many people who lost homes here in Margaret River remain angry. They say no one's being held accountable for the decisions that were made after the fire got out of control.
I'm staggered at the level of incompetence.
Dozens of victims turned out for a community meeting in Margaret River last night.
It's bloody obvious. I mean, we're not stupid.
Lyndon Rowe was one of them.
And the top floor just got completely gutted.
He welcomes the Keelty report and the government's apology, but still has concerns.
What happened here was no fault for the residents. So there's a legitimate expectation if the government's now accepted it's got full responsibility for what happened, then it ought to be accept responsibility for make good.
In Margaret River, David Cooper, 7 News.
Lindy Chamberlain-Creighton says today's inquest into the death of her baby Azaria has given her some hope of finally being cleared of blame. 32 years on from the day she says a dingo took her child. But she will have to wait a little longer, with the Northern Territory coroner delaying a decision until later this year.
The Chamberlains came here requesting a formal finding Azaria was killed by a dingo.
Which closes the inquest into my daughter's death, which so far has been standing open and unfinished.
The last inquest in 1995 had an open finding, but the court heard today since then there'd been 14 major dingo attacks, including 3 fatalities. In an emotional court statement, Michael Chamberlain said, since the loss of Azaria, dingoes sent a shiver up my spine. It is a hell I have to endure. After 2 hours, Coroner Elizabeth Morris adjourned the hearing.
It gives me hope this time that Australians will finally be warned and realise that dingoes are a dangerous animal.
I am grateful and I am satisfied about the way this coronial inquest has been conducted.
They'll return for the final decision later this year. And the coroner has given an undertaking her findings can be televised, just like the findings of the very first Azaria Chamberlain inquest in 1981. Nick McCallum in Darwin, 7 News.
A Willetton man charged with murdering his wife has appeared in court. Police were called to the couple's home yesterday afternoon and arrested the 50-year-old. A woman's body was found in the house. The man was charged with murder last night and appeared in court this morning. He was not required to enter a plea and was remanded in custody.
A Perth dog is being hailed a hero after saving his owner's home from burning down. And now Dyson the Labrador is in for a big treat. Alison Hembrough reports.
Meet Dyson, the 4-legged firefighter, enjoying a well-earned drink after saving his master's house.
If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have a house, or anything left.
The 8-month-old Labrador was home alone when fire broke out in the kitchen. He quickly raised the alarm, barking to alert neighbours.
I just quickly rang the fire brigade and got them here as quick as possible, and it was just going up in flames really quick.
There's $50,000 worth of damage. The kitchen is gutted, but firefighters say it would have been far worse if it wasn't for Dyson.
Well, would have been a lot more damage, and plus probably other structures as well.
And while Dyson's efforts may not make him an honorary firefighter...
No, I don't think so, no. Can't wear the coats.
He will be rewarded.
You might get a big bone or a smacker or whatever he wants, really.
Alison Hembrough, 7 News.
Coming up in 7 News, a man stabbed in the chest outside a Perth home.
And prisoners evacuated from Kerribakan prison. Plus, why the honeymoon killer was cleared of plotting his wife's death.
And remarkable footage as a helicopter falls apart.
In 7's Money Watch, the Australian share market finished the week on a high note. The ASX 200 rose 20 points after a strong lead from Wall Street. Financial and mining stocks drove the market. Gold gave up more than $8 an ounce. National Australia Bank was the strongest performer of the big 4 banks, appreciating 31 cents or 1.3%. Our major miners both firmed, but gold miner Newcrest lost some of its lustre after a disruption to production at the Lihir plant in Papua New Guinea. One Australian dollar is buying $1.07 US.
A 28-year-old man has been stabbed in the chest outside a home in St James. Neighbours say there was an argument between a group of people inside the Boundary Road house just before the man was stabbed on the footpath. The victim's partner gave him first aid until an ambulance arrived. He was taken to Royal Perth Hospital in a serious but stable condition.
A man accused of killing his wife during their Great Barrier Reef honeymoon has walked free from a US court. A judge has dismissed the case against Gabe Watson, who's already served time in Australia for the scuba diving death. US Bureau Chief Mike Amor has more.
Tommy Thomas had fought for 9 years to have Gabe Watson tried for the murder of his daughter Tina. Today he told a jury about the last time he saw her.
I told her that I loved her and I wanted her to go have a great time.
After calling witnesses from Australia, prosecutors today finished presenting evidence against him. They claim Watson drowned his wife of just 11 days while they were diving on their honeymoon in Queensland in 2003. Watson's lawyer then sprung to his feet.
We move that this case is dismissed.
The judge agreed.
There's no evidence to suggest that he intended to kill her.
This was Watson's reaction. In tears as he first hugged his lawyer and then his new wife. After serving 18 months for manslaughter in an Australian jail, Gabe Watson is now free.
It's been a nightmare for Gabe and his family. It's been a nightmare for Tina and her family.
But that nightmare is far from over for Tina's family. They still believe that Gabe Watson murdered her to collect her life insurance.
It just seems to be a lot more protection for the accused than there does consideration for the victim.
In the United States, Mike A. Moore, 7 News.
Bali 9 drug trafficker Scott Rush is back in his Denpasar jail cell after being removed from Karabakan prison for a short time. Indonesian officials have begun to evacuate parts of the jail and had planned to remove all foreign inmates. Scott Rush was escorted out late yesterday but returned to his cell overnight. Authorities say several nights of rioting and fires have made the prison unmanageable. Chappelle Corby and other members of the Bali 9 have also opted to stay in their cells for now.
A rescue helicopter in Brazil has literally fallen apart shortly after landing. The chopper vibrated violently before the tail snapped and the front of the cockpit fell off. The 4 people on board were not hurt. Experts believe it could have been caused by what's called ground resonance, which can happen when a helicopter is on the landing pad with its engine running.
Basil's here with Friday Night Sport now, and great news for Margaret River tonight. Baz?
That's right, Rick. Yes, the world's best surfer is heading back down south. Also tonight, the Force get their season started and maiden century. Peter Forrest reaches triple figures for the first time.
His first 100 for Australia.
And a tough start for Scotty Waters' Saints in the NAB Cup. Peter Forrest's maiden century for Australia has given Sri Lanka something to chase in the one-day match in Hobart. Forrest smashed 104 from 138 deliveries and skipper Michael Clark added 72 as the Aussies posted a healthy 280. Tom Atkinson has the highlights.
Michael Clark won the toss and chose to bat, his first punt without punting.
It is hard, as I said again yesterday, not to have Ricky here. I've played a lot of cricket with him. I know he'll be at home watching.
He wouldn't have liked what he saw. Wade gone for just 5 and Warner only 7.
Oh, that's out. That's caught behind.
2 for 27 had the locals asking, where's Ricky? As Forrest and Clark went on a rescue mission.
Oh, what a good stroke.
Forrest, the first of 50 with a ponting-like pull. Some big hitting saw Clark reach 72, but Forrest kept at it.
Well done, Peter Forrest. His first 100 for Australia.
He managed just 4 more.
Now, this could be trouble, though. Deep point. Got him.
But his dismissal brought the Hussey brothers together.
Oh, that's brilliantly hit. That's a mile back. Oh, how good's that? That is a beauty.
Chasing 281, the Sri Lankans were in the hunt. After 20 overs, they'd reached 2 for 120. Chandamal and Jaya Warden are in control.
He's tying the ears off that one. Don't even run.
Until local boy Xavier Doherty produced an absolute jaffa.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. Float and spin. And maybe a match turner in more ways than one.
Jai Warden are gone for 85 from just 80 balls, but Sri Lanka remain on track with under 100 runs needed at less than 5 and over. Tom Atkinson, 7 News.
Former Subiaco Premiership coach Scotty Waters has had a tough initiation to the big league. In charge of the Saints for the first time, his side matched Sydney for the first half of their NAB Cup opener, but in an at times embarrassing second half, St Kilda conceded 2 goals to 7. The Swans won the match by 30 points. The Western Force have made a promising start in their first Super Rugby match of the new season. The Force led 12-9 at half-time before a strong start to the second half from the ACT Brumbies. But it was game on again when the Force crossed in the 55th minute.
They do now, and Stenard will run around and score the first try of the season for the Western Force.
It's full time now, and unfortunately the Brumbies winning it 19-17. In a massive coup for WA, 11-time world surfing champion Kelly Slater is coming back to Margaret River. The best surfer in the world will headline the event in March with the world's best female, Aussie Stephanie Gilmore.
It's no wonder the Premier was popular today. He had some big news for the Margaret River Pro.
I'm very pleased to announce that the event has secured Kelly Slater, 11 times world champion, who will compete once again in the Margaret River Surf event.
It will be welcome back for the world's most dominant surfer. He competed in Margaret River in 2011, but this year, following the bushfires in the area last November, his return has extra significance.
It will show to the world that Margaret River, while it had a very serious bushfire, the township is as it is, the beach and the waves are just as beautiful. So I think it'll be a great fill-up, and I know the people of Margaret River are really looking forward to this year's surfing championship. It'll be a bit of a break for them after what's been a pretty tough summer.
Yes, good on them. It should be a terrific event. Lots of sport on at the moment. Don't forget the Glory tomorrow night. Third placed on the table against second place Brisbane. Kickoff is at 6:45 at NIB Stadium. Here are Rick and Sue. Good night.
Thanks, Baz, and have a good weekend. Stay with us here on 7 News. Coming up, where to find Perth's best value fuel.
And Natalia with the forecast for the weekend.
Hello, Natalia Cooper with you. A mostly sunny day in Perth, and tomorrow will be much the same. A few showers forecast next week. Currently in the city, it's 22.7, humidity 54%, and winds are from the southwest at 11 kilometres an hour. 27.4 was today's top, and overnight the temperature dipped to 20.8. Around the metro area, temperatures were in the mid to high 20s almost everywhere today. Rottnest, the coolest place to be, with 25. Around WA, there were some decent falls in the Kimberley, Pilbara and Gascoyne in the 24 hours tonight. It's cooled off across much of the southern half. Yesterday, Esperance had a top of 42. Today, just 25. Tomorrow, a shower or two for Bunbury and Albany. Showers and the risk of storms through much of the north. Over to the satellite now, and a weak cold front is bringing some isolated showers to the western south coast. There'll be a couple more showers in the southwest tomorrow as another weak cold front passes through. Interstate tomorrow, very hot in Melbourne, 38 degrees. Sydney, a top of 27, and can you believe they've only had one day this summer above 30 degrees? On the waters in Perth for the Rottnest swim tomorrow, southerly winds 13 to 18 knots, easing to 8 to 13 inshore mid-morning, and then shifting south to southwest 15 to 20 knots in the afternoon. Seas to 1.5 metres and swell to 2.5 metres. So conditions not looking that great, but good luck to all the swimmers. So the forecast, 16 degrees tonight, then tomorrow will be partly cloudy and 26. We should get an early shower on Sunday, then a top of 26. Partly cloudy and 28 on Monday. There's the risk of a thunderstorm on Tuesday and a couple of showers about on the last day of summer. A message from the Water Corp: with those showers forecast next week, you could turn your sprinklers off for a while and water your garden only when needed. Before I go, a special happy birthday for tomorrow. Peg Vivian of Doubleview is 106, and congratulations to Len and Ellen Berry, who are celebrating their 70th wedding anniversary today, and Bill and Connie O'Brien, who are celebrating 60 years together. Enjoy your weekend. It's going to be a little bit cooler than we've had lately. Here are Rick and Sue.
Thanks, Natalia. That's 7 News for this Friday. Sally Bowery will be on the news desk this weekend.
Have a good one. Now, here's Monica with Today Tonight.
Nobody knows.